Mood.tv.
What the hell do we need to do to get through to all of you? We talk about such topical shit, like Boy Meets World and the President's Dick. I want you to tell all your friends about our show and how awesome we are. We don't even have to rhyme or use contractions, that's something. I won't shut up. 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 I am Kyle Mocha.
And I am Kyle Mocha. Thank you for tuning in to Kyle Mocha Won't Shut Up here live on YouTube. 9 o'clock every Tuesday. Unless you're listening to this in the future. If you're listening to this in the future, then you're listening to this either on YouTube or on iTunes. We're brought to you by Moot.tv. Wonderful, wonderful folk over there. Folk can be plural and singular, so I don't know if Eric has anybody else actually working with him. I think it's just him, but folk work. One folk.
No folks given here, man.
You don't give no folks?
No folks given.
Oh, we don't trade folks around here. That would be slavery. All right, what time are we at? Okay, right, about like 2 seconds into it. Slavery off the table. We're good. We're good. So today we have a special guest that's going to be joining us primarily in the third segment. That is Mr., as I love to call him, Mr. Mustache Dan.
Hello, all.
He is here. He might chime in from time to time. I'm also joined, as always, by Mr. Justin Olimpado.
Hello.
And Zachary Storman. That's his middle name. That's in quotes. That's his nickname.
Look me up on Twitter. It's.
I like that. I think that's actually not accurate, but.
Nah, fuck that shit, man. Social media is the devil.
Yeah. So this week, the episode's title is No Offense. I think that's the best way to pronounce it. No Offense. You stylized it. It's French-esque. We're fancy. We're fancy. We got Mustache Dan here. He's a fancy man. He's a world traveler. Dan, we'll get more into how I know Dan and our history later. It's very romantic. I think so, at least.
Faraway land.
Yeah, we've been off to faraway lands, traveling the mountainside. All right, so it's been a couple of weeks. It's been like 2-3 weeks since our last episode. We had a storm 2 weeks ago that was extremely intense for about 20 minutes. Knocked over every tree that wasn't already knocked over from the storm 2 months ago. And that led us to have no power here at the house.
Yep.
And the houseboat did not sink.
That's pretty fucking crazy.
The houseboat did not sink. It stood
No,
afloat.
but it fucking did rain a lot.
It rocked.
Oh, yeah.
It rocked back and forth. Back and forth.
Everyone listening knows, because I feel like
Yeah.
most of them.
You've been here.
Yeah.
Probably.
We're in this area.
All three of you that are there.
Yeah.
Joining us live gives you the advantage of being able to interact with us when we are live. We can talk to you in the chat. Your chat will appear on the screen. That's still happening. That still happens. We still have that. It shows up, so you'll be immortalized forever in this video that is just of images. You make this a video. When you interact with us, you make it a video, and you make it better. And when you're not here, it makes me sad and makes me want to cry. But it's really just kind of a regular daily thing, so it's not that different. But still, you should join us live. I don't mean to downplay it at all. But yes, that storm was crazy. The day of the storm, I was over at the Cinder Inn where I work, having a couple of drinks before waiting to get picked up by one of you fellas, because they don't trust me with a license in the state of Pennsylvania. It's a legal thing. It's a battle. They think I'm bad at drinking and driving, and I think I got caught twice.
Okay.
And we're still going back and forth over this. But Justin was going to pick me up, or Zach was going to pick me up from there, and which is why I was drinking, because I'm not going to drink and drive third time.
Correct.
And I'm outside, and we have a tent over the outside bar, and the wind started picking up, and I'm underneath the tent, and I'm smoking a cigarette, and I'm holding my beer, and I'm just like, oh, this wind's getting pretty intense right now. This is getting a little ridiculous. And then all of a sudden, this big gust comes through, and I put my beer down, just like out of natural instinct. I put my beer down, put my cigarette in my mouth, and I reached up and grabbed the bar, which was thankfully not metal. It's like piping, PVC piping, or at least coated metal, which made me think that I was okay. There was a hurricane hitting like 20 miles away, apparently in like Mount Pocono area, ripping trees like by their roots. A tornado, not a hurricane.
Not a hurricane.
It was a wet one though. It was a halfway between. It was a tournicane.
Tournicane?
It was a tournicane.
What's the middle point there?
Hail? I don't know. I have no idea. What would be the middle point? Do we know? Is that a thing?
It just dry event?
Yeah.
Like
is it just a
storm.
wet tornado? If it's raining really bad, or just tornadoes just get rain?
Like, no, a tornado is like a big dust devil, like
a
dust
circular
devil
thing,
is
like a dry one.
Yeah, but
What's
then
a
a
wet
hurricane's like a whole
What's a
storm
wet one
in
called?
the sky.
I don't know.
What's a wet tornado?
A land monsoon. A monsoon.
No, a monsoon again is like the system of the storm.
Yeah, I know.
A hurricane is the system.
I'm just trying to make something up from words.
You know?
Yeah.
A monsoon
Well,
is like
this one we'll say we'll settle on tornado for this one. It was a wet-ish tornado. So I'm out there and the wind gusts, and I grab it, and all of a sudden I'm grabbing the side that is like slightly tethered down, and the other side is not tethered down at all. And the window's open because it was warm out, and I like look into the bar. I've got my cigarette in my mouth, holding on to two posts, and I'm just like, I need hands, hands, I need hands. And they're just like, what? I'm like, the tent, we're gonna lose the tent. And then all of the dudes in the bar just stayed where they are, and all of the ladies come running out, and they all just like grab different spots of it. And then one of our regulars who was walking in with his grandson at the time, he was like, oh, I got a strap in the car, and like he runs in like the crazy one back to his truck, gets a strap, comes in, and then this other dude that finally comes out starts like, you know, like getting the ratchet strap going. And we're sitting there, and at one point my boss turns around, and I have my cigarette in my hand, and I've picked up my beer, and I'm holding it on with one hand, and my side just kind of going back and forth, and I'm sipping my beer. She's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I'm not working right now. I don't have to do this. I can walk away at any moment with only slight regret and knowing that you're going to hate me for forever because I lost the tent.
Yeah.
But then we lost power. So we couldn't do an episode.
So who gives a shit if you have a tent if you got no power?
Yeah. No, we only lost power at work for a little bit, but we lost power here is what I was saying. So we couldn't have an episode.
The cinder keeps burning.
The cinder has literally lost power for more than like 30 seconds twice in like the 15 years that Veronica, and it was literally for like 2 minutes. Like, it has never stayed out of power because it's the first grid that was built in the area. The cinder used to be the last thing on the road. Stokes ended at the railroad track. And there was nothing going over it. So it ended there, and then 447, that like the connection right there didn't exist back in the day. So you had to take 5th all the way down. So you didn't have that option. So it was literally, the cinder was because the train would stop right there. Like, if you look down the tracks right there, there's an old station, like still building, like a building still there behind the credit union. All of this very interesting to everybody not from the Poconos. But if you're not from the Poconos, hey, what the fuck are you doing here?
They might still like trains.
They might like trains.
You see those motherfuckers with the gigantic camera with the 30-foot lens on it?
No.
And the train's coming?
No.
Whenever,
Wait, is this...
Like, the fancy train comes through around here?
Oh, is it the guy that screams trains? Because Richard's obsessed with that guy. He just goes, trains! Trains!
Yeah, it's like all
Richard films his own, and he's just like, motherfucking trains! Trains! Because he gets stopped by a train, like, driving around here, like, at least twice a week. Like, it's not uncommon. The train still comes right through.
And this ain't your subway train. This is a big motherfucking...
Yeah, it's a freight train.
This train is a fucking mile long.
Yeah.
It's huge.
They come through, and then they stop conveniently when they are across all 5 intersections that the train can, like, you know, go across. But right there, that station was behind the cinder. The train would stop there, and the train was there. The tracks went through before the building. The building's like built in like 1929, like right at the end of Prohibition, and they became a bar in like 32. So they were like the first the Lackawanna is the first liquor license in Monroe County, but they were one of like the first bars, you know. And then where they stopped, where the train would stop, was where they would they would blow off like all of their ashes and everything. So it's called the Cinder Inn because when they opened, they just literally got covered with cinder every single day.
Damn.
And it would just like rain cinders. So the Cinder Inn. And she thought about naming it another thing. Actually, she was going to call it Derailed. And that's the slogan for the like their sports team, that their fucking softball team. That sport.
Yeah.
The one with the big ball and underhand throwing, and the stick, and the running on the diamond.
Different bats.
Yeah. They have you use aluminum and it's a little bigger.
It's like a wiffle ball bat.
It feels like it. But they're powerful. Like, I mean, when we played at the pond, we would always have, you know.
Oh, Zacky's.
Yeah, Zacky's a great place to play. We would always have like an assortment of bats, and some of them were just like high power performance bats. And you would like boom, and the ball would just like boom, fly out. Like, I can't hit really past second base like that powerfully. But with like some of those bats, I was like hitting dead center. It was getting caught, but I was hitting dead center. And I was like, oh shit, like. That's actually
Remember the Mark McGuire bat?
No. Well, the Sammy Sosa bat was corked. You ever hear about that? Sammy Sosa corked his bat. In real life, he corked his bat and had it capped. Yeah. What's the Mark McGuire bat?
It was like a kid's toy, but it was like a baseball bat back when Mark McGuire was a shit.
When he was,
it was made
not outed
to fucking purposely be able to hit this shit as far as you could imagine.
Like, is it made of that like plastic that like when it bounces off, like you could literally just toss a ball in it and it would boom like right off?
Yeah, it's something like that. Like it's.
Was it aluminum or was it plastic or was it wood? Like
I want to say it was metal. Like I use aluminum bats, but like
you played Little League
bats for Little League.
Yeah,
were like really heavy and thick and stuff.
I did T-ball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I had a Michelangelo Ninja Turtles glove.
Right.
It never got used. It was on my hand, and that was literally it. I was always put in left field. I was just always put in left or right field because no one was going to go there. Yeah. If anybody was going to get a lucky shot, it was down the middle. Like, nobody's going either side. So I just, like, stood out there and picked flowers and stuff. I did the same thing in soccer. They put me in, like, goal or defender. I would literally be sitting there, like, writing my name with my shoe in the dirt. And they'd be like, Kyle. I'm like, what? They're like, stop ruining the field and pay attention. They just scored again. Okay. I did one time stop a goal in soccer. I was, like, 6 years old. And actually, I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and our buddy Frank Belfiore was on the team with me, and I don't know if he remembers it, but I was in goal, and somebody kicked the ball at me, and I went to go catch it, and I did a motion to like close my hands, but my legs closed at the same time, and I caught the ball between my knees. And it was the greatest moment of my soccer career at 5.
Then what did you do?
And then they put me at forward, and I just, because once you do something good at a position, they're like, all right, you got that, go to the next one. They put me at forward, and I was just very, very tired very quickly. I mean, I was 5. I wasn't fat at that point yet, but I was still lazy. I was just like, I don't want to run. I was the makings of a fat kid at 5, you know? I just hadn't had Little Debbie and Double Stuffed Oreo attack my life just yet. I mean, it happened. It happened hard. You should never tell me where the snack cabinet is.
It's got to be you're predisposed to.
No, okay, here's the thing. I am one of 10 children. Yeah. If that's news to anybody listening, I'm one of 10 children. I'm number 5 of 10. My dad's a bigger guy. His brother's a bigger guy, but only like after the age of like 40, he looked like fucking Michael Keaton, like dead on until he was like 45, 50. Damn, and now he looks, I love him to death. He's a wonderful guy, but he looks kind of like the walrus that tricks all the clams in Alice in Wonderland. Like, he's bald, he's fat, he's beet red, and he's just got a big white mustache.
That's a good look.
He's awesome. So he has 2 totally different. He looks like a retired New York police officer who's just like seen a lot of shit. He just doesn't fucking care anymore. He's just like, fuck this, fuck. But that's not how he talks, really. But that's what he looks like. He looks like, like the what was the blue NYPD Blue? Like, he looks like he would have been on that show, back in the day, like. But my grandfather, not a big guy. Nobody on my mom's side besides my one uncle's a big guy, and that was, again, after he was like 45, 50. My dad was bigger. I'm bigger. And then besides like pregnancy weight from my sisters, none of them are big. And then Kevin like gained like a bunch of weight like when he was younger, but for like a year, and then he went back to being rail thin, and now he just goes, when he sees me, he'll give me hugs and say that his arms don't reach all the way around, and then he'll go, Kyle,
Family.
I miss when we were both fat. Now it's just you. And I'm just like, thank you, Kevin. He's like, yeah, I liked being fat with you. And I'm like, you're a weird little motherfucker. But he was like 9 years old.
He doesn't eat either, though. I've never seen that kid eat.
Oh my god, okay. Well, when we lived in town, he can walk anywhere. Like he literally walks everywhere. He's a master of getting around and doing everything on like no money, like just from like being young and living in town, and your parents aren't going to give you fucking money every time you want to go outside. So he and Keith were both like, since they got the opportunity to grow up not in the woods, they were really good at. Keith was a moocher. His name was literally Keith Moocher to people, not Mocha. And Keith would go to a show and he would have $0, no ticket, and he would leave the show having been backstage the entire time for the show with like three t-shirts, probably like 4 girls' numbers, and like $10. Like he would literally just go like, I don't have money for a ticket. I don't have money for a ticket, and just go up the line and like no shame at all. And you know my brother.
That's a good your brother imitation right there.
I don't got any money. I don't got any money. I don't got it. Can you give me some money? Hey, I'll tell you a joke. I know Mitch Hedberg jokes. I'll tell you Mitch Hedberg. And he would just, but they're both charming in that way. They can just walk up and just be like, say something like to somebody. They'd be like, yeah, you're, and they're both, I mean, small. I mean, Kevin's taller than Keith because Keith's, 8 inches off the ground.
He trusts a small guy.
But but Kevin's like a smaller, like he's not like a big dude. But Kevin will walk all over the place, go all over town, and then he would come home and just eat a bunch of food. And he would literally just eat 1 meal a day, and it'd be a bunch of food, sometimes in the middle of the night. And because he can go for like 2 days, and just like he's like Patches. Patches just walks everywhere all the time. Like I wish I had that energy to just like walk. Like when I lived in LA, I walked everywhere. Like I had no issues walking. Like last time when I was out for work, I did I walked from like right by Grauman's Chinese Theater where my apartment was, all the way to Silver Lake.
Jeez.
Which is like sucks. 3 miles. I just meandered. I just like wove in and out of streets. I was like, I'm going to go look at houses over here. I'm going to go look at whatever weird shop over here. I actually walked even further the other way because I wanted to go to the comic book or to the comedy store, and they were closed. So I walked all the way to the comedy store like a mile one way and then retrace it. But I spent a day doing it. Like I can do it, but I don't do it regularly. Like it would kill me, I think, or be really good for me.
Come up this walking contest.
Yeah.
That's the new. If you're a fan of the show and y'all want to have a walking contest, we'll start here at the houseboat, and we will. The houseboat Tommy Lee Jones. We'll just all start, that is the name of the houseboat. Yeah. Correct. We'll all start walking together, and we'll just stick together and see who gives up first. We'll see who gives up last. That's the winner. You know what I mean? Depending on how many people start. Like, I'm going to make it to the end of the driveway, and I'm going to be like, I don't really want to play this game. Yeah. But I'll go back inside and do something. Yeah. Or I'll get in my car and follow you guys. All right. But somebody should go on a complete walking... Your brother should do it. Yeah. You and your brother should have a walking contest. Well, here's the thing. I've always, like, ever since I saw Forrest Gump, I just kind of went... I know my mentality, and like I could be the person who just is like, I'm just not gonna stop walking, and I'm just gonna walk. Like I could see myself just like snapping a little bit in that way, and just being like, I'm just gonna walk. I'm just gonna keep walking. Because like living in Saw Creek, there were days like when I was younger that I'd just be like, all right, I literally have nothing to do, nobody to talk to, and I've got all day. It's nice out. I'm just going to walk around the entire community. Like I would walk like 3 miles from my house to the place called Top of the World, like the pool and like everything. And then I'd just walk to somebody's house, see if they were home. I would just like meander and then come home and just be like, all right. It's like, I know I can do that. And if I just like put my mindset there, but it would take me like losing my brain. I think I have to like really have like a mental breakdown. Too goal oriented or what? I don't know. Want to walk? I don't know. I don't know. I'm lazy, but when I go, I'm gonna do this. I do it. But it's getting me to that point of being able to go like, all right, I'm gonna do it. Like, I love, like, my house being clean and everything being nice and neat, so I will always, like, do the dishes and make sure everything's cleaned.
but it takes me 4 days to get there. Like, it's me looking at him going, that's not growing anything yet. Like, that's fine. And then I'm like, everything. Like, you go on cleaning spurts where you just go, fuck it, everything's messy. I need to clean the whole entire place.
Yeah, I do that.
I think it's...
This house is a pinnacle of cleanliness, so let me tell you what.
Yeah, your bathroom up there looks fucking spick and span.
It's actually not bad.
It's not as bad as it used to be, Mom.
Yeah.
I promise you it's not as bad as it used to be. Your boy's growing up.
It's a little bit better.
A little bit at a time.
No, it looks great. I mean, paint job everywhere.
Can you
new floor.
Can you cook good food for yourself?
Oh, they're chefs. The two of them are chefs. Chefs. They're both Chevy Chases.
Do we cook here?
Yeah.
No.
When we're having
chefs,
we're having 8 people over for a fight, you cook here.
I have cooked very elaborate meals.
Any fight, any UFC fight.
What's the fight?
You guys watch fights here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, why haven't we been hanging out?
Because you've been living in Northern California.
Yeah.
My birthday in November, we had a.
Oh yeah.
I went buck wild. It was the George St. Pierre versus Michael Bisping.
Oh yeah.
I watched that one live.
Wait, what did I forgot?
We made
oh yes.
Canadian food, like poutine French fries and shit, and then we made I made
that's fight food
fish
for
and
sure.
Chips. Like real fish and chips. Like I bought fish and I made batter and I fried that shit.
In honor of the respective countries.
It was insane. We had a good time. I drank.
Was that the one I ate most of everything? Straight. Was that the one where I ate almost everything you prepared?
Before I had
what was
pork
it?
Loin too.
Oh yeah, so he had this pork loin. And he goes, Kyle, tell people to eat the pork loin. I want everybody to eat the pork loin. So I would take a piece of pork loin and I'd walk up to people and I'd be like, this is fucking delicious. You should eat some. And I would eat it in front of them to prove that it was good. And then I just kept going up to everybody individually. And then I realized I've eaten half the pork loin and like not many people are there. And I've just been also munching on it in between trying to sell it. Oh, it was so good. It was delicious. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing. Everybody, I mean, well, the 3 of us can cook. I don't know other people we know can cook. But to get away from local and total personal things before we go to break, I want to talk about something that happened a couple of weeks ago. I was going to talk about it on the episode that got canceled. The Fox is going crazy. They always do this. They always have really good shows that are happening. Like they when Family Guy was really awesome, they canceled Family Guy. They canceled Futurama twice. Like they're just kind of stupid. They canceled Greg the Bunny, and if you've never seen it, it's an amazing show. I think it was Eugene Levy as the dad and Seth Green as the son, and a pervy a sock hand puppet named Greg the Bunny. And it was just like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I never watched that.
It was amazing. It was fucking... And they canceled it after like 1 episode. Or 2 episodes airing. And so this year they're at it again. So New Girl was in like 7 seasons and they just ended it. Like they just like figured like we're done. So they ended. But then they canceled Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
That show's funny as fuck.
Which is amazing. He won Best Actor at the Golden Globes the first season. Like you gotta give, like, it has a following. People watch it on social, like, or not social media. People watch it on different platforms. They're not watching it just on TV. So they were canceled, and within like 2 or 3 days, NBC picked it back up, so it's saved and it'll be back like next January on NBC, which means most likely it's Lorne Michaels producing it now. So you're going to see an influx of the next couple of years. Yeah. You get like 3 years out of the show now. So you're like almost guaranteed like 7-8 seasons, because you're going to have this influx of every SNL person that's not already been on it being influenced by Lorne Michaels to be on the show and to guest and like really like shove it in Fox's face about how good of a show they canceled. But then the other show they canceled was Last Man on Earth, which is the most ridiculously weird TV show that has ever been. It lasted 3 seasons, which is absurd. 4 seasons, maybe. Which one is that? Last Man on Earth is not the Tim Allen one. Last Man on Earth
that's
is.
What I was thinking.
Last Man on Earth is the Will Forte. It starts off.
Will Forte is funny.
Will Forte
is Santa Claus.
Is Santa Claus? No, Will Forte is the last.
Like not no. Like at a mall or something.
No. He's not Santa Claus. He's not Santa Claus. He's just being a dick. Will Forte. Will Forte is the last man on Earth in the beginning of the show. Everybody has died off from some disease.
Will Forte, the last man.
And the first episode is him like being in Tucson and having not left Tucson since everybody died and going, okay, like I'm going to get into like a motorhome because he can just access everything. I'm going to get into a motorhome. I'm going to just drive around the country and I'm just going to see if anybody's out there. And he leaves these like Alive in Tucson signs on every billboard, like on every major highway in every major city. He's driving everywhere. But then realizing that nobody's anywhere, he like breaks into the White House, steals a bunch of shit from the White House, breaks into museums. He winds up wearing like Michael Jordan's jersey as a nightgown at one point. He has Rocky's robe that he's wearing as his robe. He just walks around in his underwear because it's just like, I'm the last man on earth. Who fucking cares? I've got a tank top or no shirt on and underwear and boots.
I would definitely wear that if I was the last man on earth.
Like nobody's like you'd be, if not, you'd just be walking around naked. Like if you don't want to like worry about the weather or anything like that.
You need boots in apocalypse.
Yeah, you do need boots in an apocalypse. But so that's the first episode. But then the first episode ends with, or the second episode maybe ends with him meeting a woman played by Kristen Schaal, who does the voice of Louise on Bob's Burgers. The one with the ears. And she's just this very strange, like a grammar Nazi to the max, like to like old English maximum almost. And she's just bizarre and weird. And he's just like, I haven't had sex. So he's just driven by like, I want to fuck you. And she won't have sex with him until they're married. They're the last two people on Earth, and she's still clinging to old traditions.
They're the only two people.
Yeah. So then slowly the show goes on, and they interact and find other people. And they have great cameos. Like Will Ferrell is in one episode for all of 15 seconds. Martin Short was in an episode for like 5 seconds. They literally have huge stars that just show up for minute parts and then are immediately killed off. Like somebody just immediately like hits them in the face with a shovel because they're freaking out. It's just really weird. Like the first episode, it has no speaking for the first like 8 minutes. It's just like long shots of him like pushing a car lit on fire down a highway ramp into like another car just to watch them both explode, or bowling with a truck bed full of bowling balls where he just like goes really fast and then breaks and all the balls go flying out, and instead of pins it's like 7 or 8 aquariums, but there are no animals. The animals are all dead as well. Just full aquariums. It's just shit. Like, what would you do if you could do whatever you want, access everything? What would you do
if you're the last man on Earth?
I would do that shit. I would go to Walmart. Like, Walmart's my emergency plan for like everything. I'm like, anything goes down, I'm going to Walmart. I'm gonna get like, no, I have an emergency. Okay, before we go to break, it's a little bit long before break, but either way, before we go to break, I'm gonna say this: my emergency plan for anything crazy happening, like if we were like to be all of a sudden like on our own, like no government, like or just like some crazy like invasion shit happened. It's gather a handful of people, gather like 5 or 6 people that I know are like ready to go. We go to Walmart. We raid everything we can possibly get as far as like canned food and beverages. Then we just wait. First we go to Pocono Cab and we steal each of us a cab.
Okay.
Then we go and we drive through Walmart's doors. We wait for them to open for us and go through. But we go through Walmart stores and we just drive up and down the aisles and we just load the cars with shit. We load the cars with shit. We go over to the sporting goods section. We get all the guns and everything. We get all the shoes, all the clothes, everything that's like we can possibly fit into all this shit.
Walmart, man.
It doesn't matter. We're gonna get every pair of them. But this is just an emergency one stop. And then we're gonna come up here, which this location will never be disclosed to anybody. Very secret location. And this will be main base. Every single one of those cabs.
Main base.
Yeah, every single.
This is main base one.
Yeah, every single one of those cabs is fully equipped with a walkie-talkie in there, so you can communicate with everybody that has one of those. So that's a good start. And then raiding Walmart is just a good start to just get a shitload of basic needs, like necessities, out of the way.
What happens when other people are raiding Walmart?
Is
Combo, you're gonna kill somebody?
I don't know. It's gonna be crazy.
Just rams.
Do we welcome people
rams
in?
to the doors?
Be like, you want to join us?
Yeah.
Or are we hostile? We're like,
No, we're cool.
Nah,
you
fuck
come.
you.
If, like, you come in.
You do your thing.
Yeah. No, you can. You're good. If you can show that you're not like a scumbag, not trying to like do anything. Like you got no weapons. We got no weapons.
You're
out and about.
Why would we have no weapons?
Out and about. We have them hidden in places that they don't know. Under tables, under chairs.
Okay, alright, I want this now.
Inside cupboards.
In your pocket.
The back of a ketchup bottle.
That's a
big ketchup bottle. Yeah. All right.
Big ketchup?
Big ketchup bottle. Well, on Big Ketchup Bottle, we're going to go to break. What song do we got? What are we doing? We're reusing some music this week. We're doing some greatest hits of the first 6. This is the Escape song. The song I wrote while I was on probation for that second aforementioned Dewey, Mr. DUI. We'll be back in, I don't know, how long is this? 3 minutes? Something like that. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
Staring at the streets, people walk, but they're not going anywhere. Same for me, here I'll be, right where you left me. What's to say I've given up on trying to escape. I can't believe the changes made to this one smokestack town. College is in, but they're not learning anything. Same for me. What a way to be. What's to say I've given up on trying to escape. What's to do, Lord? What do I ever do? Just waste it all away. The changes made to this one smokestack town. College is in, but they're not learning anything. Same for me. What a way to be. What's to say I've given up on trying to escape. What's to do, Lord? What do I ever do? Just waste it all away. I'm gonna leave this town someday. I'm gonna leave this town someday. I'm gonna leave this town some way. I'm gonna leave this town someday. I'm gonna leave this town someday. I'm gonna leave this town some way.
We're back?
Yeah.
I forgot that there was that abrupt end to this song. That's always an abrupt ending there. Well, that was the Escape song, again, that I wrote a couple years ago during a wonderful time in my life. It wasn't bad.
I had fun.
It was sobering.
I don't know.
It was a sobering. You had fun while I was on house arrest?
You're not seeing your ass for a while.
Yeah, it was nice when I didn't come back for a while. Oh, So yeah, we were talking about the show's getting canceled. Another show that got canceled today is Roseanne. So today this happened today. This happened today because Roseanne tweeted something offensive.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
So yeah, this is what I didn't tell either of you. I asked you before the show if you had heard this. And you both have not. Justin and I spoke about it earlier. So Roseanne, for whatever reason, had beef in some way with a woman that used to be or is a lawyer that used to work for President Barack Obama.
Of course.
She's a black woman. She's African American woman. She is. I don't know if she is. I don't know if she is Muslim at all. I don't know if she is. But Roseanne tweeted, and since then has left Twitter and apologized for her crude joke that was like taken, like the wrong way or something, or she went too far or something along those lines. She said, in reference to this woman, I don't know if it was if she tagged her or whatever, but the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby.
Whoa. Oh
so
God.
within an hour or two of this happening, this tweet going out.
But she apologized immediately.
She apologizes, but ABC cancels the show immediately. Is probably going to pull everything. Like Disney, basically, who owns NBC, came down on them, and we're just like, we're not putting this out anymore. Like you can't say that. Like
I don't think that's controversial.
It's ridiculous.
Really.
But they got attacked, and so the thing is that Tim Allen had some controversial shit that he said somewhat recently. I forget if it was racist or misogynistic or what.
No, it was just conservative.
Yeah. So they gave him.
I don't remember.
I don't remember what it was, but he said something that people didn't like, and he was canceled. And then I think Fox, oddly enough, after canceling 2 really good comedy shows, pick up Tim Allen's show, and it's like 8th season.
Because he liked Trump.
Yeah, I don't know the specific. I didn't really look into that at all. But somebody tweeted that Roseanne should be picked up by Fox, and then be paired up on a night like a '90s throwback night with Tim Allen.
All right, here's a conspiracy theory behind that.
Yeah.
She wanted to get out. She didn't agree. What network was it on?
It was on ABC.
It was on ABC, and ABC wouldn't let her tell the joke she wanted to tell.
Maybe.
So she said, "If I say this fucking outrageous
publicity
shit, I know you'll fire me."
Well, that has happened in the past. Fired. There's a local DJ that used to be around here that rumoredly had something that he said on radio. Is basically he said it to get out of the job because he was probably going to get fired anyway for some like dumb bullshit like. He was getting paid too much or something like that. But so that happens. That happens at a local level. That happens at a national level, like in Hollywood and everything like that. So it's not surprising that she might do that. But I think it was she was stoned and in the afternoon, just
regardless
making something. It's a dig. It's a deep dig.
How do you know that was offensive? There's no way.
She thought it was going to be funny.
Well, no, she did not think that was. She knew. That's offensive to the point where, even someone who is a racist knows, how offensive that is.
Yeah. Well, we heard it at work, and
she tested that joke on her friends first.
Yeah, probably. And someone was like, haha, that's hilarious.
They ate it up.
Well, they were probably all stoned, yeah.
Okay, so the lesson is Roseanne is surrounded by yes men.
Yeah, probably. Women. Yeah. Now, and that makes me wonder, did Norm Macdonald tell her to write the joke? And is it a Norm Macdonald joke? Because he writes for her. So it'd be kind of funny because I could see him, delivering something like that and being like, huh? Afterwards, and just kind of, doing that, I don't care that you don't like this joke, I'm going to keep telling it thing that he does.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if if that's what it was. But I don't think so. I think she just, wrote something. She just went out there and wrote something. But they canceled her, within, I want to say it was minutes. They probably, were in contact with her. And then it was, released, within an hour or two. Yeah. Which is ridiculous. Because they're, maybe 10 episodes in. And it's one person doing that now. Every single person that had a cool job again. Everybody that had their old job back after 20 years. Out of a job because she was a fucking idiot. So she apologized and then said, "I am now leaving Twitter," and she's just not posted anything since. It's fucking, and she took down the tweet. Obviously, took it down, but it happens for a second. It's screen capped somewhere. Yeah. There's a website that does that catalogs every single tweet that's ever made, like kind of going in like a what's that, the Library of Congress, like that type of an idea.
The Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah, they're doing a Dewey Decimal System. But you go in by your handle.
It's one library.
Yeah, it's your handle.
Rocket Larkin, the giant library.
Yeah.
My handle.
Your handle, whatever your Twitter handle is. Yeah. If you have a Twitter name, it's your Twitter handle. You know, like a trucker would say, "What's your handle?"
Trucker would say, "Can you handle this?"
To a lot, lizard.
You think you can handle this, diesel baby?
Oh, so what we haven't gotten to this week yet is the beverage of the week. Every week we drink a new beer. And next week we have an event coming, kind of a special occasion that we're going to do. Cool episode where we are going to be taste testing what I'm just affectionately calling shit beers. Beers that you like would look at and go, I'm not going to buy that. But if you were at a party and someone's like, I got a keg of this, you'd be like, yeah, whatever. It's like, it's beer. Or you're drinking it because it's the 30 pack for $15. So we're going to be doing some, stuff like PBR, some Trying to Get Lion's Head, Natty Light, Natty Daddy, and a couple of others. Trying to do probably like 6 or 7 beers. But this week, in light of that, we're kind of classing it up a little bit from what we usually do. We did Tecate, we've done the Natty Daddies and the Natty Lights. We are drinking Coors, and the mountains are white. They are not blue. So
it's pure.
It's kind of preparing me for next week. They were
like
cold.
Being warm anymore.
They were cold 4 hours ago.
Why wouldn't it be warm? It's supposed to be warm. That's how they serve.
I mean, it's still kind of cold. It doesn't. It doesn't taste like the Rockies. Tastes less rocky. When it's cold, there's extra rock. You know.
Yeah, I do.
And then Zach, and Dan as well. You guys are drinking some Labatt Blue.
Yeah.
Some of Canada's finest.
It was on sale.
That's wonderful. What did you get it for? What was the case? A 30 pack?
No, it was.
Oh, they're pounders.
24 pounders for $20.
That's ridiculous.
Somebody just told me some other Canadian beer that they said was really good.
Molson?
It was somebody who was like, if you like Molson,
Triple X.
Drink this. I forget what it was.
La Fin de Mont.
I like Moosehead.
Moosehead.
La Fin de Mont.
La Fin de Mont. It's a French-Canadian brewery that's called wonderfully Unibrow, which means one brew, or one brewery. Or the one brewery, whatever you want to call it. And La Fin de Mont means the end of the world. And it's like a 10 or 12% beer.
Lore master over here. How do you know?
I don't know. I just know things. Dan's shocked right now. The thing about the show is that there's no plan. If you can't tell, it's not scripted. We got some conversation. How long ago did that happen?
A bit ago,
a little bit ago. So we got Jameso on right now. There's Jameso. Alt shit beer. Okay, so fairly recently. Yeah. Alt shit beer. You F the mom. You F the mom. I fucked the world. What? Yo, yeah, fuck the world.
Fuck the world, bro.
All right.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Fuck the world. Let me get a fucking no fear sticker.
Yeah. Now, if you're listening to this live, you're getting to actually read what's going on the screen. If you're listening to this at a later date on iTunes, you should be listening to it live. It's way more fun when it's interactive. But yeah, so La Fin de Mont's a good beer. They have a couple other crazy beers, but they're just they're the most intense. It was the first beer I couldn't finish. Second, actually, maybe because I think with Jameso once we got Hop Devil, and I didn't ever have. I think I had one IPA in my life before that.
That tastes like flowers.
Flowers?
Yeah.
You think it tastes like flowers? Well, okay, it might taste like flowers, but
it tastes like potpourri almost.
Smells like hot garbage in like Chinatown and Philly in July. Like it smells like pure shit. It smells rotten. I don't know why.
It's not
good. It smells so fucking bad.
I didn't
but
like
it tastes pretty good. It burns really harsh. But the first, like, when you take a sip, you're like, oh, it doesn't taste like it smells. It just tastes like rotten garbage in Chinatown in Philadelphia in the middle of July. It doesn't taste like that at all. It tastes kind of like flowers, but then it burns and it's just shit. And it's only like 7.5%. It's like not worth the.
Yeah, but have you had it since then?
Yeah, and it was half as bad.
So your taste buds change.
Oh, my taste buds change.
You have to force yourself to change IPAs.
Oh, I mean, I have to force myself to try most things. Like,
what do you think about hops?
Hops? I think, okay, you want to know what I think about hops?
What do you know about hops?
Okay, that they're very close to the marijuana strain.
Yes.
Strain of whatever the family that would be in. But they, I think, my personal opinion on hops in beer is, like, I love garlic, right? I love garlic. I will put a lot of garlic in things, but I'm not going to cook a garlic clove and put like 4 noodles around it and a little bit of like sauce and just eat that. So an IPA that's like smack you in the face with hops, it's like, no, I like it. It should be part of the dish. It should be in there.
Yeah.
It should be more in there than Miller Lite, which is triple hops brewed somehow. Because when you triple one, it's 3 still. Like, they only put 3 hops in it. But they did it 3 times, you know? Right. They did it. It's triple hops brewed. And that spiral really helps you there,
hops
you know?
are the devil, man.
But they are...
They're
I really like them when they're...
No. What?
They're feminizing.
What does that mean?
Hops are feminizing?
Yeah, they promote estrogen in your body.
Really?
Yeah.
So drinking an IPA makes you more effeminate?
Yeah.
Huh.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
Alcohol is like that too, actually.
How did you...
Weed.
Alcohol and weed both make you more effeminate?
Well, they interact with your
estrogen. It's not true.
Estrogen, like how your body processes like estrogens and estrogen-like compounds.
Huh. That's crazy. That's weird. Yeah. It must lead to a lot of arrested development in people. Just makes sense of a lot of people I know. We're all 12 and drunk. That's basically what this is.
And
we're allowed to be adults, but we're really just 12 years old and drunk with some money in our pockets.
Yeah.
There's like
not a bad way to be.
A little beer conspiracy here.
Mm-hmm.
Beer conspiracy.
Okay.
Beer conspiracy.
Okay, alcohol is a sedative, right?
Yeah.
But if you drink liquor, you can still be pretty rowdy when you're drunk, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you can't be rowdy when you're drinking beer, but hops is also a sedative. So when you're getting like a double dose of sedative, you're just like more depressed. So it's like the conspiracy is that because they like mandated that hops be in beer and that's what beer was.
Yeah.
That it's like trying to like almost like placate like the worker class who are the beer drinkers, you know? And keep them like sedated. That's the beer conspiracy.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna look forward. I'm gonna start doing tests of people I know and the beer they drink and how much hops are in it.
Yeah.
Make flavor profiles of everyone I know.
Flavor profiles of everyone I know. The new album from Zach Storman.
Their life and their beer.
Yeah.
Or their drink of choice.
Yeah.
Flavor profiles.
That'd be a good
coffee stores.
That'd be a good coffee table book. Just like you go out and take pictures of everybody you know drinking their drink of choice, and then just ask them about it and tell a brief little story about it, and just put it out there like they're not anybody special. They're just people I know in everyday life.
Yeah.
And then put it out in like Barnes and Nobles and see who buys it. Just like publish it and like we could do this. This is a good idea. Nobody steal this idea. It's right here at the hour of 9 and the minute of 49. Trademarking this right now. TM. T to the M. Tits to the mouth. Tits mouth. Tits mouth. That's what that means, right?
Tits mouth.
Tits
Called
mouth.
it. Tits mouth.
We had an idea. Me and my buddy Greg years ago. We had this idea for a website called tittiesinmyface.com.
Yeah, I like it.
And it was just gonna be before like selfies on your phone were a thing. People were just taking selfies like this with their camera and hoping it looked good. And we were just going to do that. And we were like, we'll go to strip clubs and we'll just be like, can we take a picture? Like, I know you're not supposed to, but like, here's an extra like $50. Let me take a. And then just make it look like it's a porn site and charge access to it, and it's just pictures of us with like our face and tits, and that's it. Like every picture is totally obscured by our faces. Like, ugh. And we didn't do it. Obviously, we didn't. It was one of many ideas that never came to fruition, as you might say. But could have made
personal
tens of dollars. Tens of dollars.
Yeah. I mean, I would pay to see that.
No, that sounds like it could be a good picture. You could do a picture
series.
All
right, trademark TM, and we're tits mouthing that too.
Tits mouth and this whole motherfucking thing over here.
Yeah. All right, so we're drinking Coors Light and Labatt Blue. Next week we're gonna be drinking some shit beer.
You can be the tit mouth guy, man.
Tit mouth guy. That's my new nickname. Titmouth Mocha. Titmouth Mocha won't shut up. Titmouth Mocha won't shut up.
We were under a different
He's
channel.
got a tit in his mouth, still he won't shut up. New theme song right there. Record that. Release it.
That was actually
next week. We're done.
I like
we're
that.
done. I hope people are talking in the background. It makes it better. Makes it sound like a Beatles song. They're just like, hey, and like moving shit on the table, going, making sounds over here.
Anything they did.
I'm making a sound over here. Michael Caine was there for some reason. That was something we were talking about. The whole, I didn't really read much into it, but I saw a video that Morgan Freeman in an interview, because there's allegations against him, I guess. But in an interview years ago, a couple years ago, when it was Michael Caine, him, and Alan Arkin in a movie like Stand Up Guys or one of those movies, something like that. Whatever the one that wasn't like Al Pacino, and then the two of them and like Christopher Walken. And they're in an interview, and the woman's pregnant, and Michael Caine is there, and he's like, I never would ask if a lady was pregnant. I'd never ask. 50 years ago, I asked a lady if she was pregnant, and she wasn't. So I've never asked ever again. Never. And then Morgan Freeman is there, and he's just like, I like to be in there. And stares at the lady, and Alan Arkin's just like, that's weird. Like, I don't know.
Oh man.
It's just, I was just like, oh, that's weird. Like, I don't know what it meant. Like, was like, I'd like to be there. I'd like to be in there. Like,
is that how old is Morgan Freeman?
Like 79 plus 12 minus 6.
When old
count his freckles. I think that's how you find out how old he is.
He's old as fuck. That's what I'm saying. He's old as fuck.
Well, yeah, that's what we were kind of talking about.
People do creepy shit.
But that's the thing. Here's the thing. But here's the thing. The excuse. You know how like Louis C.K. had that bit of like, oh, he grew up on a farm, or he's from a different generation. Like, was it a racist farm? Like blacks, like dude.
Yeah.
Like he has that whole bit, and it's like, yeah. But if you look at a person who is 80 right now, 60 years ago, when they were 20, when they were being influenced by their culture and becoming who they were as a person, 60 years ago is 1958. So they were 20 in 1958. So their 20s were through the 50s up into the 60s. Like, they were exposed to all of the civil rights movements, all of the protests. Like, it is the most progressive. It went from a generation where in UK you would castrate or chemically castrate somebody who was known to be a homosexual to now kids at 11 years old can say, I am not who I think I am, and it's respected, and people can go, okay, like, and whatever your opinion on that is, your opinion on that. But like, it's a very progressive last 60 years, and they lived through it. So the excuse of they're old now is like, no, they're old, but they've lived through all of like the most progressive time.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, so they're 80 years old. So like that excuse is kind of going out the window. It's kind of the whole like Time's Up movement in Hollywood. And we were saying, like, is this how Rome fell? Everyone found out they were fucking kids. Like, is that how Rome? Like,
that is how Rome fell.
Like, everyone found out.
When they started when they found out they were fucking kids, it got bad. But when they just like fucked kids, like, that's what they did in Rome. And like, they're like, what are you doing this afternoon? I'm gonna go fuck these kids. That's when Rome really fell.
And that's when they just decided,
don't fuck kids.
Yeah.
Save America by not fucking children.
That's a great way to enter our next break. So we'll be back in a little bit, and we're going to talk to Dan in depth about some stuff. We're going to talk about a little bit of our romantic personal past. Yeah, it's going to be weird.
Is that RPP?
No.
Romantic
Yum.
personal past.
Yeah, it's an RPP, yeah. RPP.
RPP.
Yeah, you know we.
RPP, yeah.
All right. So here's a song.
Favorite suspect.
Listen, we'll be back in a couple minutes.
feels like unconditional night. So hide away with me, the darkness just feels right anymore. Come inside, if you're the right one. 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 My house is like a cave for suspects. Get away for all my friends and roughnecks. Breathe deep. Okay. You might get stoned. Okay. I'm like a burnout at my home. Okay. Yeah. Okay. In my home.
Okay. Hey, step inside this den of thieves. I got some friends that you should meet. And after this, if you don't leave, I guess that this was meant to be. Me for you and you for me. I'm the captain of the team, cheerleader of my dreams. You a perfect 10 and then some. Go ahead, bring your friends, huh? They'll be safe with them, huh? Yeah, them on my day ones. And we gon' have some fun tonight. Yeah, we always do it right. So come on, girls, come inside. Hey!
Come inside, if you're the right one. 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 Come inside, if you're the right one.
Hey!
Come inside,
Come inside,
if you're the right one.
Hey!
Come inside,
Come inside,
if you're the right one. Come inside,
if you're the right one. Hey!
All right, we are back from our second musical break. That was, I guess, Brunch featuring Pat. What's the song called?
Cave for Suspects.
Oh yeah, it's the house theme song.
Cave for Suspects. Or Den of Thieves. I haven't named it yet.
You know, the first time you said
names.
it, I thought you said Kiefer Suspects. And I was like, oh, Kiefer Suspects.
Kiefer
like,
Sutherland?
Kiefer Sutherland. Like a suspect that looks like Kiefer. There's his middle name again. All right, so we're joined today by Dan, as I call him Mustache Dan, because he has a wonderful mustache. It's always on.
Like 5-6 years now.
Yeah, it is wonderful. It is weird to think, did you have it before you left for Alaska?
No, I grew it in Alaska.
Okay, because I remember we were at Yetter Park the last time I saw you when you and Nick made your marking on hole 10 and literally wrote your names and then I think Alaska and the year.
Yeah.
And
Nick.
Nick. But we I saw you then and then you left and so you lived in Alaska for a full year, right?
Yeah.
And then you came. Did you come back here? Or did you go to California after that?
I moved to San Francisco.
Okay.
And then after being there for a couple months, just kind of like van living, and I ended up in an apartment randomly, but I was homeless for a little bit in the van. And then I met up with Liz.
Yeah.
And we ended up going to Hayfork for the first time.
Okay.
And then
you wound up working up there.
Yeah. Then Emerald Triangle shenanigans.
Yeah. All those shenanigans.
Yeah.
Well, so then I met you through, I don't know if I met you through my brother or through Liz or anybody back in the day. I forget the first, I really don't remember our
playing
first.
Disc golf with you.
Disc golf is the first time I really remember meeting you, and you didn't have a mustache, and then you came back and you had this glorious mustache. And so immediately, Dan, who? What Dan? And then no one can pronounce your last name. How do you pronounce your last name?
Swikala.
Swikala. But it's CWIO...
AKALA.
What is that?
It's Polish.
Polish?
For me, though, that's as hard to spell as mustache. That's one of those words.
Oh, I spelled it with OU. I go OU every time and it autocorrects me.
I don't know. I get tripped up every time.
It's must, M-U-S-T-ache, A-C-H-E. Mustache. Like must-ache. It's must-ache.
Oh,
your mustache is a must-ache.
Must-ache.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it
That's
must
wrong.
ache.
That's a lie. That mustache was
But I always thought it was
That was a
M-O-U-S, but I think in my last
on-purpose
name and
mustache.
being narcissistic is all hell. So, so a few years ago, about like 2 years ago, after I had been working at one of the bars in Strasbourg for a little bit, I just decided to go visit my brother Keith for a week was the plan. So I was taking a Greyhound. I took a Greyhound out across the country from Allentown, Pennsylvania to Redding, California. So from the kind of crackhead of crackhead cities to crackhead of crackhead cities. And we went through St. Louis and then through like Denver and Vegas and then down to LA. And it was a hell of a trip. And it took 5 days to get there. I took 2 weeks off of work and it took 5 days to get there. I was staying for 1 week, which again, what I've always been told the rule is stay at least 5 times as long as the journey took to get there. Or what the journey will take, like, is that then it's actually worth it. So I was not doing that. My journey was 10 days altogether round trip, and my my stay was going to be 6.5 basically. And so I'm out there, and I kind of just I messaged the manager of the bar at the time, and I was just like the last day I was just kind of like, all right, so I'm getting on the bus at like 4 a.m, you know, kind of like wrapping everything up. And she was like, you're an idiot for coming back. And I was like, yeah, I feel like an idiot. And then she was like, you should just stay. And I was like, I should just stay. And I went, formal resignation. I'll call the owner in the morning and leave. I'll call Barry in the morning and leave him a message. Or talk to him on the phone or whatever. And so the next day I called him and left him a message. And I just like walked in and I was like, hey guys, is it cool if I just live here? And they were just like, yeah, that's awesome. Totally. And my name, as what you do call me this still.
Yeah,
my name,
brother Kyle.
It's my brother Kyle.
That's
my
his,
name
in
Hayfork is my brother Kyle.
Keith started saying that because
I was on my way.
Yeah, he would say,
for a week before Kyle. I got there, he'd be like, my brother Kyle's coming up. And they'd be like, oh, cool. And I got there and everyone's like, my brother Kyle. And then it got shortened and Ron was the one that really drove it through. And he said... He was like, he just went, Brother Kyle. And now what's great is Charlie from the Jukebox calls me Brother Kyle because I told him that story. And now whenever I see him, he's like, Brother Kyle, Brother Kyle, hey, Brother Kyle. I was like, oh, yeah. It's great. So, it was cool because in the house that I lived in, there was my brother Keith. And then there was Liz, who I knew. I didn't know anybody else that lived in the house. And there were 3 other people. And then there was our buddy Christoph. Who was from
Spain.
He was from Spain. He lived in Ibiza, but he was also a Swiss national, and he was also he was Spanish and Swiss. His one of his parents was Spanish, and one of his I think it was like Netherlands or something. He had another country like up there that he was. So he was like a very well traveled guy.
Dude, what if you make Swiss cheese like pepper jack cheese?
Pepper jack Swiss, like
aged
pepper jack.
Like the pepper that makes a pepper jack we put in the Swiss.
You're right, Dan. Cheese is addictive.
You're
Dan
right.
was saying earlier, cheese is addictive. We can't go an hour without talking about cheese. We had Cheez-Its on the table right there.
Protein.
Oh Lord, it's delicious though.
It's opiate-like.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm high as hell on cheese.
High as hell on cheese.
I'm cheesed up, cheesed off. I've gone and cheesed myself.
Oh, it's like what was it? What was the name? The Goof Troop movie, the extremely goofy movie when the dude the Pauly Shore plays is like the Leaning Tower of Cheese.
Yeah. I remember that.
I've done that.
I love that shit as a kid, dude.
It's so bad.
I loved it.
I would take a Ritz cracker and pile it so high, and I would have like what would be the equivalent of a quadruple stuffed Oreo, but it would just be like cheese and Ritz.
Cheese.
When I die at 41, don't ask why.
Just eat more cheese.
Just eat more cheese in memory of me. And then put that on my tombstone. Eat more cheese in memory of me.
Instead of putting flowers, we
put cheese. Put wheels of cheese. So if there's a strong wind, they may roll off. and I will be gifting the world forevermore with cheese and wheels.
You ever see that thing in England, I think, where they run down the hill after the cheese?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the weirdest thing.
The English love their cheese, man. Don't take cheese from the English.
How did that start? Do you?
Way more weird than extreme Barbie car downhill challenge.
That's similar. That's the redneck version of the British cheese. We're talking about how British shit.
Wait, what is this? Fancy. I don't know this.
You've never seen this?
I don't think I've ever seen this.
That's like Jason Cheese downhill. That's fancy.
Yeah, compared to have you seen the extreme downhill Barbie?
No, I don't know. I've never even heard of that.
He's gonna pull it up.
You know the Power Wheels Barbie Jeep?
Okay.
They go downhill on this extreme violent downhill Barbie Jeep racing.
Here's an ad with Jay Farrow.
Here's a clip of it. Watch these crazy people.
All right, so Peter's Lead Auto Sports. All right. Okay, so this is a video of
not in trucks, in Barbie Jeeps.
At least 100 or 200 people on the side of a hill that's got lines. Oh my God!
There's thousands,
hundreds, thousands maybe of people, and a bale of hay lined.
Hillbilly people. Hillbilly people.
There's a giant wiener. There's a girl jumping.
We're all children again at the Barbie.
Oh. These look like people that are having a good time. That guy's hat is amazing. TripleXMotorsports.com. Triple X. I said Triple X.
There you go.
What the?
Oh, yeah.
So they're literally adults going downhill.
Adults going down in Power Wheels.
And Power Wheels.
Yes. And getting wrecked.
They just drag them down the hill.
Yeah, first to the
oh my God.
People, do people get knocked the
Feel
fuck
the rhythm,
out?
feel the rhyme. Come on now, it's Barbie car time.
One car ran over him right away. Like
good runnings.
I've watched so much
my gosh,
of this shit.
That is ridiculous. That is amazing. Oh my God.
I'm glad an event like that exists. So
what is
the
most epic Barbie Jeep crash compilation?
Enjoy it while they're drunk and stuff.
You need to see this. People, can they hear anything that's going on right now? All right, so you guys can't hear anything that's going on in the background.
It's like watching MMA. Do you like watching MMA for that?
This is ridiculous. So wait. So this happens in America, and this is the equivalent of the cheese thing that they have.
This is the American version of chasing the cheese wheel down the hill with English gentlemen. You see it now, don't you? It's
it's very similar.
It's important to some culture somewhere.
But that's a morale boosting type of thing. That's like people just going like to. Back in the day, it's the equivalent of back in the day going to a public hanging, just not as intense. People used to go be like, that's not me. My life's not as shitty. Gotta go back to my mud-floored house and sleep in my bale of hay.
In England, and then they got to chase cheese.
Yeah, they got to chase cheese.
I don't want to live... I'm not trying to talk shit on England. I don't want to live there.
Can I segue into the ayahuasca talk?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. So, Dan...
All right.
Dan's a world traveler.
The segue is... How do people enjoy themselves? One of the things I found in I was in Costa Rica when I made this realization.
Okay.
But it was while drinking ayahuasca that I was like, these dudes in the jungle that were doing this for a long ass time, maybe thousands of years at least.
Yeah.
These guys are having some of the most fun in the world.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting in the woods, being quiet and then laughing about it.
That's intense.
But then they do a bunch of crazy stuff. The songs they sing are incredible, and it's really hard to describe.
So Costa Rica is where you went to do that?
Yeah, in Osa. It's southwest.
What are there other countries down there that have this available or no?
The tradition of ayahuasca is from kind of Peruvian, Ecuador, that region of the world.
Okay.
And it's ayahuasca is like a DMT drink.
Okay.
And DMT is one of the most psychedelic substances, basically.
That's the blast off
that
for 15
humans
minutes.
have encountered,
Yeah.
And it means ayahuasca means bitter vine.
Okay.
And
bitter vine.
Yeah. And DMT
Haunted.
is how people, a lot more people, I feel maybe the ones listening to this, maybe you guys.
Maybe. Who knows?
DMT is the concentrated form of this, and this is a more current thing.
Okay.
But ayahuasca has this whole tradition that's stretching back, like I said, maybe thousands of years,
Okay.
Where it's incorporated into their like almost like religious thought. You know, it's like these like I drank in Ecuador with the they're called the Sequoia people or the Secopai.
Okay.
And it's like an indigenous tribe that is from like that area, like I said, the Peruvian Ecuador border. And I had like one of the craziest like trips I could ever say is like I went down there and this guy Don Cesario.
Okay.
He's a 110-year-old shaman.
Holy
jeez.
He's been drinking ayahuasca for 100 years because he's been drinking it since he was 8. Because they serve it to the children. Yeah. Like usually they do.
How regularly?
What?
How regularly do you drink it? Like would he in his situation?
He drinks it pretty regularly.
Like daily, regularly.
He's
monthly?
Like qualified super shaman. Like
yeah, but he's
drinking it like definitely like I'd say multiple times a month.
Okay, so now what I remember hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that prior to this you need like a couple of weeks or a month or so of like total clean living, sobriety, like eating healthier.
They have a
like
whole
get your body
system.
as close as you can.
They have a whole system called like a dieta. Okay. And it's basically you remove a lot of things from your diet.
Okay.
And basically it's stuff they try to remove. I think it's called tyramines. It's like a lot of foods contain it, like alcohol, anything fermented.
Okay.
Pork has it in it.
Oh, that's
and
unfortunate.
this stuff I'm
out.
It interacts with DMT because DMT is like and it's similar to serotonin.
Okay.
And it's like the interaction is there, so they do this dieta to kind of clean themselves, and like in the tradition that I drank with, just the guy that I've drank with, he doesn't require a strict dieta. They do a ceremony in the morning, like you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And you basically take a drink that makes you throw up repeatedly.
I was going to say you vomit everywhere and just cleanse your body.
And then you fast the whole day, and then you drink the ayahuasca that night. Okay. And then you stay up all night and like just fucking...
How long does the effect go for?
All night.
All night. So like a 12-hour period about, or?
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
And ceremonially they do it at night, so you are up through the night? And then at the end, like the daybreak kind of comes with like the end of everything. Is it like in that realm? Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah,
because you're fasting the day before, and then they
do you feast in the morning?
Yeah, you feast in the morning. Oh man, the feast is incredible. Like,
was it full of pork?
No. It's like mostly.
I'm out.
Mostly vegetarian fare though. They do eat meat though, but it's like kind of not recommended just because it's like harsher on your stomach after like a fast. Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. So how long was your whole like stay like within like where the shaman is? How long are you there for?
They like the dudes I drank with, they usually do like a week long retreat or like a 2-week long retreat, and you're drinking like probably like in a week you might drink like 3 or 4 times.
Okay. So you get there, day 1 is the like kind of like introductory day, like you're just there, and then day 2 you start like with the throwing up and fasting, or are you throwing up and fasting immediately? Is it like welcome, puke, drink this, puke?
No, they took care of us really good. Like I met up with this like indigenous people at their house, and they're like really cool people. They just like cook amazing food, and they live on the banks of this river in Ecuador, and they're very river oriented people. Okay, like it's like
do they eat a lot of fish in their diet?
Yeah. Okay, they love fishing. Like that's what I did with them basically when we went to their like ancestral land. Okay, like they live like up the river, but when we did this like journey, it was basically like a big camping trip. Yeah, and we went to do ceremony, and they kind of went just to like accompany us, help us, and also like they took like a fishing trip. Yeah, basically,
Now, what was like the climate of the actual like the area? Like how hot is it like at that point? And
pretty hot. Like,
and how does that affect you? Is it like, are you sweating a lot through this experience? Are you like detox like sweats?
When I was in Ecuador, that was like straight Amazon. Like it was like a unique environment like I'd never been in before. Like the bugs I saw multiple of the biggest bugs I've ever seen.
Arm-sized bugs?
Like, I saw the biggest spider I ever saw. I saw the biggest mosquito I ever saw. Like, I saw the biggest ant I ever saw.
Was it like the tsetse fly from Jumanji? Like the one that's like right in the windshield?
The mosquito was
like,
big.
Ah!
The mosquito was big.
David Allen Greer's like, I'm not getting paid enough for this. That's crazy. So,
all right, huge. I'm tripping my balls off, and there's gigantic bugs there.
The one multiple.
That doesn't sound like that.
That
great.
doesn't sound
Multiple
fun.
nights I got eaten up by bugs while I was tripping really hard, and it kind of took me out of it. But at the same time, they actually also have beliefs about how that like actually the ants and stuff can like cleanse you.
Okay.
Yeah, like they do like weird. They have like spiritual customs, like beliefs, I guess. Like there's this one tree that they go up to. Like you say, if you have a certain sickness, you just go to this tree and like let the ants like clean you off, and it'll take the sickness out of you. That's like a whole thing with this like ayahuasca thing. It's like it's a tradition that they do. They do it for healing. Like it's like what they call in when they have these experiences is like they stay quiet all night, and you know, you just, I guess you're just contemplating.
So when you were on it, you were quiet the entire time, like you don't speak.
Yeah, you're in a hammock.
Are you wanting to speak, or is it just embracing?
Well, it's policy basically to be quiet. Like
now, if someone were to do it like recreationally without a shaman, without a guide, would it be something that you would be very talkative on?
There's actually like in the
that's a problem for me.
There's a couple different styles of like how they serve ayahuasca. There's like these churches. There's like a famous one, the Santo Daime, I think it's called, that they come out of Brazil, and they actually play music the entire time. There's like different experiences.
I would
you know?
need music. I feel like
there's people. Well, I think that's
or
like
just the
two
sounds,
main ways
I guess.
to do it.
Yeah.
But you hear the sounds of nature when you're
playing.
Though.
That's
and
also.
It's like it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Trust me. You're one of the greatest things about ayahuasca. You guys are like all musicians.
Yeah.
It increases sound, like from tripping.
Yeah.
You know, like how your appreciation for just sound and rhythm goes up. It's like more than I ever experienced. Is like that. It hits that, part where you're just like in tune with music.
They'll do it for healing.
Sound.
What is there any, like researched and proven uses for it to be? Because I know like when Andy Kaufman was dying, like from lung cancer, having never smoked cigarettes really in his life, outside of like playing Tony Clifton, I guess was the only time he did it. But he went and basically did anything he could possibly find to like help cure. And I don't know if like he tried ayahuasca, but is that something that people are like, I have cancer or I have
I think the main thing,
some terminal illness and try to do this to help in any way, or is it more of a mental health?
The main thing that I think has been accepted in like the medical literature about it is that it helps with depression.
Okay.
Like they think, and this is proven that it can help.
Also, that the psychedelics are that way.
Yeah, they generally like the idea of like a person with Alzheimer's microdosing on something like a mushroom has been researched, and I don't know if it's 100% proven, like scientifically accepted, but it helps connect receptors that are basically going broken in their brain.
Yes.
So is ayahuasca basically that?
That's definitely true.
Yeah.
There's actually some evidence that suggests that some of the harmala chemicals that are in, I think it's in the vine, they're actually promote neurogenesis.
And what plant did you say it comes from?
Ayahuasca is usually a drink from a vine and some leaves from this like small
so it's
plant.
a combination.
It's a combination.
Okay.
Yeah. And they actually add other shit sometimes.
It's not legal in the United States. There's no like therapy things that use that in any way in the U.S. Are there?
I don't. It's a DMT is a Schedule 1.
Yeah. So even in that form, it's still registered under DMT.
Yes, because that's the active. Like, that's the active chemical probably. Like if you were drinking ayahuasca.
In your personal opinion, would you think that there's ever a day where they would accept that as a medical use in the United States in an experimental way or anything?
There's
towards it?
There's some law about like the Native American churches using peyote and stuff like that. And it's kind of like a legal gray area where like they basically don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, because they can always have the argument like we've been here doing this. you came in.
Yeah, exactly.
Let us keep doing this.
Exactly.
We only have like a little bit of land, and we've like built some stuff, but let us keep the fucking peyote, man. Bud.
Well, like I said, in the area where it's from, at least, it's like they're doing it for like pretty much religious purposes.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like...
Is it a very...
It's part of their culture.
Like Christian influence down there?
They're definitely Christian.
Like a Catholic, like the conquistadors came and influenced them in that way, but they kept the ayahuasca side of things.
Yeah.
So there's the meshing.
There's, a split among the people for sure.
Because I'm sure like in like countries like in places in Africa, there's like the people that have been reformed and then the people that still believe in whatever their immediate local god or their like whatever they've
constructed. There's a whole complex like mythology, like I'm telling you, it's like very central to the ones that drink it regularly. Yeah. There's like a whole like mythology associated with it, where it's like it's pretty intense.
There's a mythology, but I gotta ask you one question as I take the last Coors Light out of this 12-pack. Is there a mixology to it?
Yeah, I knew it was fucking coming. I knew it was coming. Yeah, I didn't call it out.
Thank you.
Oh,
thank you for letting me get the beer out.
There's a lot of pride. There's a lot of pride among that. Yeah. About who can make the best medicine.
Yeah.
Kinda,
Is there a contest at all?
I mean,
can we
like
start
a chili
one?
bake-off?
Yeah, like a chili bake-off, but it's with ayahuasca, and it has to be 6 weeks long because you have to try everybody's ayahuasca.
Oh my god!
You're like, what tent are you on? 4. Why are there 10 tents? I'm tired of the porter potties here, man. They haven't emptied them in what feels like years.
There's a story that the old guy told. The 110-year-old guy. He said that there's times after ceremony when he was just like, just in it, and he had a vision of like a spirit giving him a seed.
Okay.
And he actually like opened his hand and there was a seed there, and he planted that plant and then drank that medicine. Jeez. Like they're getting like new varieties.
Yeah.
Just like from the ether.
That's ridiculous.
if you believe in they have, like I said, they have a whole. I went to an island there. Yeah. Where they said basically like a South American Jesus happened. One of their shamans died, and then 3 days later he like just.
How recently? Is that like an
probably
old like
no?
Jesus
it's like
time?
within people's memories. So it probably happened in like the 1800s maybe, or like
really
like that.
Now how many people are living to 110 years old in this like environment?
He said his grandfather actually lived to be like that old too. That guy that's 110.
So not everybody's like people living to be like 80, 90 like here, like where we've like kind of pushed past the idea of like 80.
Man. They're on a super. They're like active people.
And that was actually something we kind of were talking about, like different cultures and their diet and how people can and stay like younger looking in different cultures. Yeah. Just naturally, like there's the old proverb. I think it was a Shakespearean proverb: "Black don't crack." Is that Shakespeare?
I don't know.
I don't think it was Shakespeare actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it might have been.
What does it mean before somebody misconstrues it?
Well, they say the whole idea is like a lot of people that are of African descent, they stay young looking longer. Yeah. And my example of that always was Gordon from Sesame Street. The guy was on it for 30 fucking years and never aged a day. He had a bald head and he had a mustache and he just looked the same for forever. Yep. But we were talking about like in certain cultures, just like the diet like leads them to live longer lives. They look younger longer, and then there's all of a sudden a moment where they just go like snap and they look 150 years old. Like they're like 90 years old and they've looked like they were 55 the entire time, and then just like the face, like most people from like a more Caucasian background, we just like slowly get older looking, and then we're just old looking. Yep. It's crazy. So they're 110-year-old guy. What was his like appearance wise? Like how is like? Did he look like Yoda? Like was he a small guy?
I guess.
Because I would be hoping for a Yoda guy.
I think he was a big framed guy, so he didn't look like Yoda.
Yeah.
But you know what? He looks like he could live another 10 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Like his legs didn't work basically. Like they were like super atrophied, And he actually, this is crazy, just like living out in the jungle basically, but he lived in a house with his like 96-year-old wife. They live like alone.
Jeez.
He drags himself up the stairs every night. He lives in a 2-story house.
Oh no.
And yeah, he like literally like because his legs don't work.
Yeah.
Like he can like support himself with his legs, but just like for like a second.
Yeah.
You know? Like
to like move from one thing to
like,
another kind of
like
quickly.
if he has like a
walker
in
some way. That's crazy. Mentally, like with this stuff, he
led 2 of the ceremonies where he's like singing songs and chanting and shit. Like he was making
so cool.
He was making crazy animal sounds.
Yeah,
like it was really intense. It was really intense.
So
like,
I mean, in that amount of time, he's probably done it like hundreds of thousands of times.
Oh yeah.
This conversation is ruining me though. If I ever go there and have that experience, there's no guarantee that I'm gonna have the experience with the 110-year-old guy whose legs didn't work and made animal noises.
No, but you'll have your own experience.
Like, I know, but like that sounds like the wildest shit.
Okay. Can I? Another thing about the ayahuasca I want to say though is like, it's like something I just got into as like kind of just like liking to trip or whatever, you know, and that's like how I went down that path.
Yeah.
But there's definitely like the guys that do it all the time. They say there's like negative consequences basically to like if you just go drink with with some guy, like because they use it for like medicine for one.
Yeah.
But like also there's these people that are just like doing it kind of just like they're leading ceremonies where it's like almost like a party type thing where they're just like trying to keep your vibe.
And they're probably not being silent the entire time.
Yeah, well they have all these beliefs about like how negative spirits can get into you and all this stuff.
That's what I'd be worried about. Like anything like that, that's kind of what I'm worried about, like mentally, just like what's going to seep in, because that's, you know, it's not really a steel trap up here, you know. It's pretty it's fluid.
One of the things I can say positively about it is like
creepy at me, it's going to get stuck in there.
You feel super happy. Like I felt the happiest I've ever been in my life.
So just the endorphins rushing and everything.
Yeah, so like in that way, like you're not gonna have like a bad experience. But there's also guys I talked to that they said they were like, I was in hell all night. You know, where they were just like, this one guy was telling me a story about like,
was it a guilt?
Yeah, I was having hallucination about fighting a boar like for hours.
Jeez.
like literally like a
was
big,
it
like,
symbolic
trying to
for
kill
something?
him.
Was it symbolic for something in his life or something like that, or
well,
is it just like a weird hallucination?
This is just like an experience he had. Like I talked to him in the morning about it because, like I said, we were silent all night, and then in the morning he was just like, "Yeah, I was just fighting this boar all night." Like it was That's like crazy. It seemed like it was for hours or you know, like a long ass time.
Did something good for him though?
He said that after he was done, that like it was like. He felt relieved afterward, kind of. You know, like he felt like
that's crazy.
He got through something, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But
now, would you just to kind of to wrap up on the whole idea of it, like, is it something that you would recommend to most any people? Is it a certain like type of person, a certain temperament, or is it just kind of anybody would be benefiting from attempting it?
I've heard a couple different perspectives about it because it is like a powerful thing that some people believe is like a plant intelligence, actually, like where it's like it's trying to spread itself
into your brain,
out into the world, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's why it's being spread right now. Like for a while, this was the only thing that existed in the Amazon, and now it's at a point where it's like starting to get like actually popular, and people are going there to do it, and it's.
Is there a sandals for it? Yeah, is there a sandals for it? That's what I think.
Ayahuasca tourism thing. That's like pretty.
Dude, it's a big. I know.
I've heard of people that I know that have gotten into like the business end of it, and that's the kind of what I was curious.
But there's the whole thing about like kind of tripping safely.
Yeah.
Which is like I don't know.
Well, you got to be comfortable. You got to be in a place that you feel good with, and that you're mentally and everything like ready and prepared, and
it's not something like, I've never done
it.
But fuck it, let's go.
Yeah, that's cool though.
I went one too many times already.
All right. So last question: Would you do it again? Do you plan on doing it again? Is it something that?
Of course, because it's like always a good like. I can't remember times I've enjoyed music more, times I've laughed harder.
Now, how much does the whole thing cost? The whole, what does it boil down to? Between, like, what did you spend between plane, getting there?
You can go
because Keith lived
States.
in a truck basically.
You can go
in Costa
the
Rica.
States and probably go for like a couple $100. They're going to charge you for like a night or two ceremony where they basically like take care of you for a night or two.
Yeah.
You know, and
but for a week or two long experience,
then that's probably going to be closer to like 1,000 at least. You
okay.
know?
Which isn't really that bad. When I look up things that I'm never going to do, like 15-day safari journeys in the Sahara, and then the safari, I don't know, what it's just like going down the fjords and stuff, things like that for like long extended periods of time. It's always like all-inclusive for $7,900. I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to be able to.
All-inclusives are expensive, but God, it's a good vacation.
Oh, I bet. Well, I would expect for that amount of money, I get to be the biggest asshole I can possibly be if I want to be it. So it's like, I'm going to be cool with everybody, but the second I get a lip from like anybody, I might be like, the help. I paid $7,900. I'll be real super cheap about it. I keep bringing up how much I spent. Everyone will be like, Kyle, we get it. Shut up. And I'll be like, no, you don't get it. I won't. It's not going to happen.
DMT.
There's a show about it.
Oh, yeah. What a fucking joke, Kyle.
I'm hilarious.
DMT, they call it the spirit molecule because it makes you feel like connected to all.
Okay.
You know? So think about that, just feeling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like what that means.
Well,
like human
if you're interested in learning more, there's
your ass to my mouth, man, or whatever.
Tits mouth.
Sorry, tits mouth.
Tits mouth.
To my mouth.
Yeah.
All right.
That's better than ass mouth.
Oh Jesus! All right. Well, Dan, thank you so much for coming on, brother. It's great to see you on this coast and to talk to you about that. That was very cool and informative. And I like your pants. I just want to say that. They're nice and
Bobby
flowy.
gave them to me.
Bobby gave them to you? They look like...
These are Bobby's pants.
Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, Bobby's pants. That's adorable.
Bobby's pants.
All right. Well, to wrap everything up, we've had Mr. Mustache Dan here as our guest this evening. As always, or generally as always, I've got Justin and Zach here with me. I want to thank the people or folk at Moot.tv, Eric and the guys that Let Me Ask You a Question. Yeah. Check them out. The Lamayak podcast, LMAYAQ podcast on Instagram, and Let Me Ask You a Question on iTunes, featuring Anthony, Greg, and Eric. Then they've got the other show that I'm just blanking on the title right now. So we're just going to go with that, but with Sensei Micah. White Wasabi, there we go. White Wasabi. I was like, it's Wasabi something. White Wasabi with Sensei Micah, Greg, and Ninja. Yeah, I was like White Ninja, not that. Beverly Hills Ninja, the podcast. Yeah. Coming soon from Moot.tv.
I mean, if that's what it took, bring from Chris Farley back. So.
Yeah, hell yeah. Now, definitely want to also make sure you check out Not Movies from Sean, Summer, and Eric. And then I'm not sure if Jason's still doing weekly or not, but Jason Knows Nothing. Check him out. He does stuff on Instagram, usually on Wednesdays. But for us here, Kyle Mocha Won't Shut Up. I'm Kyle Mocha, and I'm not going to shut up because we're just going to play a theme song, and I'm going to keep talking to these guys until I leave. But we'll see you next week, 9 o'clock, Tuesday, for the shitty beer taste test. Have a great night, guys.
Mood.tv.
There's nothing more egomaniacal than singing the theme music for your own show. Who am I? Kelsey Grammer. If I could only drink like him, we're gonna write a new one every week. Some will be solid, some will be weak. We're gonna write a new one every week. Some will be solid, some will be total experimental pieces of shit. Oh, oh, oh. Bye.